guys, I don't think I've ever pulled the blank one out of this bag before. That is so cool. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Akashic Window. My name's Cassie, and today we're going to be doing our final episode in the Awakening Your Inner Compass series. This final episode will include a review of the prior episodes in the series. So we will talk about intuition, we will talk about grounding, we will talk about symbols and signs, and then we're going to talk about insights and sort of how to pull all of these things together. So let's hop right in. For today's episode, we're going to be using 4 pages in our journal. We will have 4 sections, and then we will have a 5th section here with a nice photograph depicting a tarot card. And on the back, we're actually going to do a card spread. Now, as we move through this, I will probably be speeding through the crafting part a bit so that the video doesn't get too long, but you are welcome to follow along with me or pause if you need to. And then we will talk about our sections and hop into that spread. So the first thing I want to do here is actually lay down the photograph because that's going to make it easier to see the other sections. So here we have our photo glued down on the page and cut out. I went with a depiction of a tarot card. I think that this kind of looks like the High Priestess with a lotus, and I really like the symbolism of that. And so this is going to be kind of the focal point of our spread. And on the back side here, I'm going to create a space to do a little divination drawing. I'm going to place a piece of paper back here that has already been scored so we can write in our divination. You can also use this for a little journaling or just kind of some pocket thoughts. And it'll just be tucked back behind there. From here, I'm going to put down our 4 placements for the 4 sections of this spread. For some of these placements, I have a photograph. So the first one will be a tree to represent grounding, and for some of them I just have a colored square. So this one here is going to be intuition. It's kind of the color of intuition, maybe not quite as purple, but on top of that I'm going to add a sticker. And so for this one I have a picture of a girl that to me looks like she is just kind of reaching in to find, you know, her depths, her intuition. And so I think that is going to do a good job of depicting what I'm trying to show with intuition here. So let's get those placed on down. Okay, so here we are. I have put down our photos for grounding, for intuition, for symbols and signs, and for insights, which is what we will be pulling together from all of this. I also put down some lines because my journal doesn't have lines, so that I can write in some of the meanings. Now, before I go about filling out these sections, I'm going to put down a few little stickers to kind of direct the flow of my writing. So let's get those down, and then we will fill this in. Okay, so let's take a look at what we've got here. We put in our photographs to represent grounding. We've got a nice stable tree. Intuition, we've got this gal really looking to her inner self for knowledge and guidance. Signs and symbols. This photo, I'm going to see if I can get it a little closer for you guys, is so full of symbols. We've got the sea turtle, the ocean, the rainbow, the moon. I've got a dolphin there. There's just so many symbols here. And then, of course, when you pull all this together, you get insights. And I've got a book here because books very strongly suggest insights, knowledge. And then I went ahead and just decorated along the middle here where I had plenty of space. We've got this young man here who is looking like he's about ready to head out on an adventure. We flip on over. We can see this other young person just staring off at the night sky. I really like this washi tape here. It's a PET tape, actually. It is, I think, called Starry Night or Star Child, something like that. It's on Amazon, and if you want to know about it, I can link it in. But it's got this roll here, and I just really love these stickers here. I'm really enjoying the decoration scheme on this. I think it's going to complement everything really well. I put a little cat down here because why wouldn't you put a little cat down here and some flowers on the side? So this will be great when we fill in our reading. All right, so let's hop into this first concept here of grounding. Now, folks should remember our episode on grounding with their stable tree. We walked through the elements. We walked through different grounding techniques for different elements. Some of the key points to take away from that is that grounding is something you do to help kind of find your center. Grounding can improve your connectedness. Grounding can help you raise your vibration. Grounding can help you be more present in the here and now, which then helps with every other thing we're trying to accomplish here. And importantly, grounding can help you hear your intuition. Intuition can be described as kind of a quiet inner voice, and it gives you guidance. It helps you stay on track. So some important key points to take away from our episode on intuition with our friends Grace and Tizzy is that intuition and anxiety can sound a lot alike, but they're pretty easy to differentiate. So intuition, it's this quiet, patient inner voice. Oftentimes it is just a knowing. You can't really explain where it came from, but you know it. Intuition can often be connected with emotion, but instead of kind of the high stress, high anxiety emotions, frantic, go, 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 intuition is calm. It feels peaceful. It just feels good. So it's connected to emotions that help bring you down. And importantly, intuition can help you see and recognize signs and messages from the universe. So moving on to signs and synchronicities. Now we actually dedicated 2 episodes to these. The first episode went towards symbols, so we could practice looking at and seeing just the variety of symbols that are used out there that might be recognizable as a sign. And the second episode was all about signs, and I told you about my 7 rainbows, including this little guy that my son gave me. And we talked about who is sending those signs, how to recognize them, how to interpret them. And we gave ourselves a lot of space so that we can keep track of them. So looking here at our signs and synchronicities, some of the key points we want to remember here is that these signs, they can be universal, but they can also be personal, right? So numbers, for instance, and if you haven't done so yet, please do go check out my mini series on numbers where we dive into these with some more depth. But numbers have universal meanings for folks, but they can also have personal meanings. So 1111 can have a universal meaning of new beginnings or being communicated with by your guides, or it can have personal meanings. For instance, for me, 1111 is a reminder, because 1 is a manifestation number, that I am constantly manifesting my reality. You are constantly manifesting your reality. It is a reminder to be mindful of, to be mindful of what's on your mind. So signs and synchronicities, they can be universal, but they can and frankly should be personal as well. They come from something bigger than your ego. And for you, that can be a deity, that can be your higher self, that can be your subconscious, your guides, your angels, your loved ones. But the point is, it's coming from something other than the conscious mind, the ego that is driving your day-to-day. It can also be reassurances, especially signs and symbols that come from loved ones. Just reassurances that they're okay, that you're okay, that things are going to be fine. We take all 3 of these: grounding, intuition, signs and synchronicities, and then we pull them together, and that takes us to the 4th step here, which is insights. So insights are those things that move you forward, essentially, and they can help you cultivate faith and trust in yourself, in your intuition. They can help you cultivate faith and trust in the universe or your higher power as you know it. Insights can come in a lot of different forms. If you have ever had an aha moment where you just suddenly realized something that had been bothering you for a while, it just kind of came right to you, that's kind of what I call a lightning strike insight, a tower moment insight. Or insights can come through more reflective processes like journaling, meditation, self-reflection. So to help us today gain some of those insights, let's do a card drawing. I've got here my Wild Reflection deck. I've got an oracle deck called the Time Traveler's Oracle. And then I've got just my runes here. So what's our final message for our final spread? It's this one. What is our final message with our final spread? Final message with our final spread. It's that one. I can tell it's that one. Huh. Interesting. Okay. And some runes here for our final message with our final spread. Oh, that one. What else we got? No way. Guys, I don't think I've ever pulled the blank one out of this bag before. That is so cool. One more. Huh. Interesting. Okay. Okay, so let's have a look here. We have Deliberation, and what we have here is at the feet of Lei Su. I'm hoping I'm not butchering that, in China. And so the Time Traveler's cards take you to a different period in time and a different lesson for each period. And this lesson is Deliberation. So this card here, let's get a look at him. You can see that he is sitting there. You know, at first I thought this gentleman is meditating, but I don't think he is. I think he is sitting there with his cup of tea, just enjoying nature and really thinking. I think he is having a self-reflective moment. And so what we have here is deliberation and thought, with a message here to be thoughtful and deliberate in your actions. So with the rest of these cards here, and I didn't necessarily intend the runes to go with the tarot cards, but they line up really well, so I'm just going to roll with it. So we have the Nine of Wands here, and Nine of Wands is persistence. It can be perceived as hard work. It can be perceived as exhaustion, but if you look at this guy, I don't think he's exhausted. I just think he's resting. I think he's taking a quiet moment to himself with his wands as he contemplates where he is. The idea here seems to be persistence. And so we have deliberation and persistence. Persistence with soul. And so soul is the rune that probably correlates closest to the sun. In fact, it is the sun. Soul means the sun. And so this is just this really great card that, well, this one's not a card. This is a really great stone of success, of being on your true life path, which I'm reading a lot here, especially with the Lovers, which can mean a lot of things, including choice. But one of the Lover's other meanings is alignment. And so what I'm seeing here is being deliberate and thoughtful, being persistent as you follow your right path for alignment. Now, ward here, the blank one, I get it all the time when I pull my rune cards. I don't think I've ever pulled it as the stone. This can mean a lot of things, but when I'm seeing this here and I'm reading it, what I'm seeing is a blank slate. What I'm seeing is potential. There is so much that can be written on this stone. And so I think with this deliberateness and this persistence, following your life path, I think we've got alignment, and I think we've got so many opportunities, so much potential right here. This is just a little bundle of potential. And then this comes with just kind of a warning, a reminder. We've got our Two of Swords reversed. And so what we see here is she's blindfolded, as the Two of Swords always is. And Two of Swords can often be indecision, trying to make a choice. We get her reversed. And so what I'm actually hearing with her is there is kind of a lack of trust, or a need to trust yourself to make that choice. And so Two of Swords here, trust for yourself to make a choice. And then, of course, the last rune here is Nide, and Nide is need. And so Nide and I have had a love-hate relationship for years, but he shows up a lot, and he's usually right. Nide is about getting what you need, not necessarily what you want. And for those of you who now have that Rolling Stone song stuck in your head, you're welcome. The message is trust yourself. Take time to be quiet and listen to your thoughts. Be deliberate in your actions. This guy here is telling us to be persistent in our actions, and that will lead to success. And with all of that, we will see alignment with our purpose here, alignment with our choices, and with that comes potential, possibility, so many options. And so I'm reading this as a really wonderful, positive reading, and I'm excited to put my notes down on the page that we set aside for it in the journal. And here we are, our final spread in the Awaken Your Inner Compass series. We have a little bit of review here. We've got our grounding, our intuition, our signs and synchronicities, and of course our insights. We have got our decorative tarot card and our spread written in on the inside. And we have filled in every gap I could find with colorful dragonflies and butterflies and night skies. Overall, just a beautiful spread. I think it is a wonderful way to end this little series, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. That is the end of this spread, but there will be many more to come in the future, I assure you. In our next video, we're going to be diving into number 3 in our mini-series on the meaning of numbers. Thank you so much for joining us today, and remember to trust your intuition, embrace your creativity, and keep shining your light. We'll see you next time.